Welcome to our podcast series from ClearTrust, and today we are joined by Mukul Srivastava, who heads the forensic and integrity services at EY. He's a partner.
Sure. Thanks, Deep. I'm a chartered accountant by profession. I'm a certified fraud examiner. And over the years, I've worked with across many big four accounting firms. I've been a CFO of an advertising firm for 5 years. And now I've been here at EY for about 14 years, 14 plus years. And it's an interesting thing, because I've been involved with various aspects of fraud, various sectors, various lines of business. I started off many years back when you start off as an auditor, and from being an auditor, at a point I switched to forensic, and forensic was very new those days. And when we would go to an client and pitch, oh, we are doing forensic accounting, the first question they would ask is, oh, are you a doctor? So the fun part was they actually thought we were doctors and not accountants. Then we explained to them, just so we do a postmortem, we go back and look at the records and open up the records and do stuff, right? And that was super interesting. And after a point of time doing it for a few years, we realized tech was catching up so fast that we really had to do something with technology. Then I trained to become a forensic accountant, a forensic technology specialist. Came back, set it up for the firm I was working for at that point of time. And then when I joined EY 14 years back, I actually set up that piece for them as well. I also set up various other things. I'm not going to bore you with the details right now. But the forensic technology piece, the financial services practice, the media entertainment practice, and now the legal managed services as well is what I manage. And this is, of course, within the forensic realm. And just one small quick correction, Deep, is that, I don't head the forensic India practice. That is headed by Arpinder Singh, who's my boss. But I take care of various other verticals within that team. And again, let's not get into those details, but back to you.
Sure. Thank you, Mukul. I think 14 years is a fairly long journey for a lot of people. And that journey, I would assume you have kind of gone through a lot of interesting things, right from forensics to fraud and fixing systems. So what does a typical day look like for you?
So, that's a very easy and a tough question at the same time, Deep. And I always tell my team, when you get up in the morning, you've got to be looking forward to the day. So, the fun part is, when we get up in the morning and we come into office, we say, who are we going to catch today, right? Who's the bad person? And my wife says, how can you survive like this? We have to catch the bad guys.
Right.
On a more serious note, how does a day, look like? Actually, every day in the morning, we start off with an intensive planning session, right? The planning is the most important part. We plan the day. If it's a project, we plan for the project. If it's a discussion, we plan for the discussion, jump into the project. And every day is a new day, really. No 2 days are similar. And the best example I can give you, Deep, in this scenario is all our clients are very concerned with the kind of issues they're having. Imagining if you have cut yourself, right, and you're bleeding, right, you're not going to say, I'm going to wait for 1 week before I go to a doctor. You've got to go to a doctor immediately. You're not going to wait because you're bleeding. And that's the situation of our clients, right? They are suffering. They have had a loss. They may be using 10,000 rupees a day or 10 lakhs a day or 10 crores a day, whatever the sum is, right? They need to get to the root of the problem. And I think that is where the whole challenging task and the interesting task comes in, because you have to close the issue sooner than later. So when we start off a day, coming back to your main question, we really got to go plug that gap. Why is the loss happening, right? Or where there is a gap in the contract? Could be anything. So that's really what we do. Plan for the day, plan for the week, plan for the month, but it's a constant planning exercise. And that's really what keeps us on our toes.
Right. I can very clearly see that you have a passion for this also. I think you are very interested in forensics integrity and finding out issues, where your customers have a problem. So, what kinds of cases or investigations do you handle? Corporate fraud, digital piracy, financial crimes, what kind of stuff?
So I think in our line of business, we have across the spectrum, across the sectors. And if you pick up any sector, we pick up the government sector, pick up the real estate sector, pick up the medical or life sciences sector, you pick up media entertainment, you pick up any sector, you put a finger on it. We have specialists in that sector working on the investigations. Right.
Okay.
And forensic is a vast field, right? Very simply put, we break it up into two parts: proactive side to forensic, reactive side to forensic. Many years back, we were
Hmm.
doing more react. Right, an event has happened. Let's say a Satyam issue has happened. Someone is going ahead and investigating it. But today things are different. Clients are investing more and more money into doing proactive stuff.
Right.
And post pandemic, as everyone is aware, our dependence of every company on technology is very, very high. So
Hmm.
what do? You get the best people, you get the subject matter experts, which is us, to say, okay, fine, what can you do with technology? And the way we work also with our clients is to say, let's look at technology, right? So, for example, if
Hmm.
is someone faking their CV, or is
Right.
someone fudging their document, or is someone creating a fake invoice to submit it? Simple
Hmm.
things like employees fudging conveyance vouchers to large fake vendor invoices of going into crores of rupees. So, really, that is what it is. So, it is corporate fraud. It is digital fraud, yes. Financial crimes, of course, we cover. Even things like, if you look at the legal system today, everything has to go through an intensive amount of
Right.
scrutiny from a legal perspective, right? Whether it's a M&A, whether it's a simple vendor agreement, whether it's a simple customer agreement, whether it's an employee agreement. So we have teams which specialize in everything. So right from forensic technology to digital piracy to financial crimes to anti-money laundering issues, you
Wow.
name it, and we have probably done it. And I'm not trying to sell myself here. I don't want to name the number of people we have and all that because this is a podcast. I want to keep it
Right.
neutral.
Right.
Perhaps I'm the largest team of fraud investigators in India, not counting the government, of course, but in the private side, we have probably the largest team in India
Wow.
today.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff. I mean, how often do digital platforms or ad networks show up in your forensic work?
I think quite often working with digital platforms is a part and parcel. As I said, everything is driven by
Yeah.
technology. We have
Yeah.
dedicated teams which look at client platforms. See, today everything is happening on a mobile phone, right? Everything is happening using a laptop. Everything is happening using some bits and bytes.
Correct.
So we have a large technology team looking at it. I think from a client, if you look at it from a client perspective, every client has some sort of a digital
Correct.
footprint.
Right.
Almost every investigation we do, whether you pick up a large media company, right? You pick up a large e-commerce company, you pick up a large bank, you pick up a large any company. Technology is the backbone.
Right.
So we work extensively around that. Look at the ad network of right. You asked me about ad networks. Every ad network today thrives on data.
Right.
The moment you start searching something on the internet, pretty much within 30 seconds, you're going to the ad will pop up on your social
Yeah.
media regarding that material, right? That's the speed. So they are also very, very using very high-end technology. But using high-end technology also means high-end frauds. So we
Right.
work with most companies you could probably name in India, managing it proactively. And of course, we worked with companies where there are fraudulent ads or fake ads or either
Right.
bots are doing it or something similar where clients are paying for ads which never really are getting them any ROI. So
Right.
they're looking at ROI and saying, am I getting the benefit out of it? And then I
Correct.
think we work with companies like yourselves quite often and catch bad apples.
Right. 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 I mean, and it's also interesting to note that I think you just mentioned. I mean, you joined ENY 14 years back. So you moved from being a finance lead at Publicis to running investigations at EY. So it's a very interesting shift. So what drove that shift?
Well, I think before that, we need to go one step before that. So when I started my career, I was an accountant doing audit tax. And, when I
Right.
qualified, which was years back, there was no specialization, right? I would do audit, I would do tax, I would do forensic, I would do due diligence, I would do everything possible, right? And then I had switched to forensic around about 2000. I did that for about 7 years. And then it said I have had enough of consulting. And
Okay.
that was the point when I said I moved to Publicis, right? And I remember having this conversation with my global CFO that I said, why are you hiring a guy who doesn't know anything about advertising? He says, that's exactly what we want. We want someone who comes with a fresh mindset, who comes from an environment where things are right well established, because we want to establish those kind of systems. So that's how I
Right.
actually joined Publicis. Right, that was one layer below, and I remember I had a great time at Publicis, fixing things, reorganizing stuff, and it was a great organization. But then in 5 years, I had done what I had to do. Right, there was nothing more I could have done there. Right, we'd merged many legal entities, we had unified systems, processes, we were perhaps the best in the world. I remember having a conversation with my global CFO then, and he actually put me on a call with all the CEOs across the world and said, this is the way you got to manage your finance.
Mm.
And there were
Mm.
45 CEOs and CFOs from across Publicis worldwide. It was a great call, right? I was just guiding them, right? I was
Right.
not like a PhD or anything on it, but I knew because I was coming from a very different background. So the great call. And then, as I said, in India, I'd done everything. So I said, okay, fine. Let me move back into what I like, which was forensic. And I just jumped into forensic. And Era was just setting it up then. I think
Okay.
when I joined, there were about 100 people in forensic. Today, we are about 2,400. So that is
Wow.
the speed at which you've expanded. And this is EVA India. I'm not talking global, right? So
Right.
that's the growth we have had, and has been
Wow.
great.
Wow. So, I mean, what were some of the early challenges when you said it was 100 and now it is 2400? You're talking about 24x growth here. So, what were your early challenges, I would say, in building out this arm, this forensic arm?
I think the most important thing, we are in the service industry. You got to
Right.
really get the right people.
Mm.
Uh, if I on a lighter note, I always say this. People ask me, "What is the qualification you need?" I said, you got to think like a chore.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
uh,
Absolutely. I agree.
Think, right? I said, you can't be ahead of them, but at least think like how a bad guy would think, and then try
Correct.
and be one step ahead of them.
Yes.
And if I may use another analogy in Hindi, as they say, चोर हरदम पुलिस वाले से एक कदम आगे होता है,
एक कदम आगे
which
ही
is a
होता है,
fact.
सही बात है, हाँ.
So I'm saying, we can't be that one kadam aage, but at least we should be able to catch on fast. Because if
Correct.
a fraud has happened and you say, okay, I will take 6 years to find out what has happened, it's useless.
Yeah.
So if a client has had a problem, immediately try and solve it. The sooner you do it, the better it is. Same example,
Mm.
right? You're bleeding. You're not going to go to a doctor after 1 year. It's useless. You would have
Yeah.
probably lost your thumb if you were bleeding. You would have had
Correct.
gangrene and they would have cut the thumb. But I'm saying you catch it. So that is a very important aspect in this entire thing, that how soon can you turn around that investigation? How soon can you turn around solving that problem? That's
Yeah.
really what it is all about.
Yeah. I mean, I think hiring, as you said, right? I mean, definitely would be you were looking for, probably I would say that, as you were not looking for a very specific qualification, because you would not get forensic chartered accountants or forensic engineers as such. But I think probably it would be the attitude and the mindset you were looking for.
Absolutely. And then willingness to learn, right? And
Yeah.
willingness to adapt, because this is not something which is taught to you in schools, right? This is not
Correct.
something where someone or a school or a college. Now, of course, you have one or two universities who have these add-on courses. I
Yeah.
think even the
Yeah.
C has this as a critical component in their overall
Right.
curriculum. Did you get the touch and feel of it, right? So you need to
Yeah.
come here with a mind, and
Correct.
that's what I think the biggest challenge was when we started off, right? And expanding, getting the right people, convincing the clients how we could add value, right? That was another interesting aspect of the growth, because we had the right people. Then the second step was convincing the client, and I think the third step was investing into something we really foresaw happening, right? So, for
Mm.
example, when we were 2012, 2013, 2014, we were estimating, okay, this is the next big thing which is going to happen, and
Right.
investing time and money behind that. There are a lot of our solutions. Again, I'm not trying to sell E and Y here, but a lot
Yeah.
of our solutions which we in 2013, 2014, gave us the growth in 16 and 17 because we'd seen that problem coming
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
right? Similarly,
yeah,
around the lockdown, we did a similar thing. We said, okay, lockdown has happened. These are the challenges which will come up for our clients. For example, we had sort of thought about moonlighting. It was not called moonlighting, but we were said people will have fake
yeah,
appointments or
yeah, yeah.
right? Moonlighting was the word coined in, I think, 21 post pandemic, but we had estimated it. So we had set up a large team looking into these specific allegations, and it paid off. So making investments at the right time in the right solutions in the right technology was very, very important. So I think that's really the 3 points: people, solutions, and have that far-sightedness.
Yeah, I think it's because a lot of your clients would not even know unless you kind of point them that okay, this could be a potential problem coming up. I think this farsightedness is very important, especially when
Absolutely.
it's about forensics. I mean, you also mentioned about that you recently have started into legal tech. So, how did legal tech evolve you during your time? I mean, or it is evolving right now. So, I would say I also see a lot of AI coming into legal tech, and how you are currently adapting to it.
So I think without divulging anything sensitive or confidential, right?
Sure.
I'll try and answer this in a very simple way. ESI is electronically stored information, right? Review of ESI, right? Today, everything, as I said, is in bits and bytes, zeros and ones. So you need immense capacity to be able to process that information, which we had built.
Yeah.
We had the tech forms, we had set it up much earlier than a lot of our compete. And we'd invested heavily into teams and technology. So that part was taken care of. The second leg was, as I said, reviewing the ESI, electronically stored information.
Right.
So we had set up a team many years back, and it was a small team. And we started off with a small set of lawyers, a small count of lawyers, and slowly it expanded. And we realized anything and everything today you need a lawyer to review, right?
Right.
Whether it's in a say an M&A, if it's a dispute, which is possibly going into a large arbitration, you need a lawyer. If it's a rights management case, you need a lawyer. If
Right.
it's something IP, you need a lawyer. If a company needs to standardize contracts, they need a lawyer. If you want to negotiate something, you need a smart lawyer who will help you with the negotiation. So the involvement of lawyers at various aspects was critical. Now, we were not giving any legal advice. That's not something we do. But
Right.
using their skill was extremely important for us. So we have a very, very large team of lawyers just doing this on the legal managed services side. So, we manage GC offices for clients. We manage
Okay.
rights of some companies. We help organizations standardize their contracts,
Hmm.
obligation management. We working with companies where they want to outsource the entire, move their, like a BPO for accounting services. They're trying to move their legal services from global to India, right? 70,
Right.
80% work, which is the most common work. Really, you don't need much, but you need a smart lawyer to look at it. Companies are outsourcing that to us in India. So that's how this whole legal team started, and then now expanded. Now it's a fairly large team.
Okay.
Again, I'm not going to share numbers, but it's a
Sure.
fairly large team which is a part of our team.
Okay. Okay. I think as it's your, I would say, involvement in um, different types of services, legal and then the accounting practice and all of it. I mean, what are some of the patterns or fraud tactics that you see more often in India?
See, I think patterns and fraud tactics are similar to what happens across the world. I think the unique thing in India is the most of our investigations which we are doing today, and I'm only talking specific to the fraud
Right.
investigation. It is typically employees getting involved. There is collusion, right? Number
Okay.
one, the extensive use of technology. Even criminals have learned the way to layer up transactions in just a way of someone layers it up in money laundering. So even the bad guys have learned to layer these transactions.
Mm.
And there's a lot of conflict of interest. People don't understand the concept of conflict of interest, right? There's complete lack of corporate governance in a lot of companies we work with.
Right.
If you look at MNCs, if you look at very large Indian corporates, they'll have a strong corporate governance. Other than those companies, if you look at mid-sized companies or small companies, or if you look at startups, if you look at a lot of these e-commerce companies which are coming up, I think that they're so focused on the business they're not really investing money in the corporate governance. They're not really
Right.
investing money into anti-fraud system. They're not really
Right.
investing money in doing a background check, right? Like if you go to a bank, right, you have a bank account, Deep. You have a KYC, right? Banks are very strict
Right.
about KYC.
Right.
I actually want to rephrase your KYC. Banks, okay, you know your customer, fine, great. I actually go tell my clients that it should be KYT, know your third party. Now, your third party could be anyone, could be an employee, could be a vendor, could be a customer, could be a short-term vendor, could be a contractual employee.
Right.
Background check on that person, right? Get information from public domain. Today, everything is online.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think at least something you'll find from social media, while Indian
True.
systems are still learning. We are in the initial steps of integration. So all data is not available online, but a lot of data is available online, basis which you can take
Right.
an informed decision. Do you want to hire that employee? Do you want to work with that vendor? Do you want to have a large
Yeah.
exposure for that customer? Or do you want to hire that senior management person? Right. So
Right.
I think companies are missing on that. As a result of which, employees find it very easy to commit a fraud. And then companies also need to do a proactive
Yeah.
review. And coming back to an earlier example, चोर एक कदम आगे होता है पुलिस वाले से.
Correct.
Companies are constantly evolve and do fraud risk assessments, look at the gaps, look at this where a fraud can happen,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then block that.
Actually, in technology also we say, right? I mean, if you correct the input, the output is automatically correct. So
Correct.
in this case, as you said, right, KYT, if you're onboarding correctly, whichever interface you're onboarding from, and you're applying all your practices there, checking for all possible authentication, I think a
Yeah.
lot of problems downstream can be resolved.
Absolutely, absolutely. And both the examples you gave are very good examples, right? The IT world, garbage in, garbage out. You hire a
Right.
bad or have a bad vendor, you will probably face
Correct.
an issue, right?
Right.
So I
Right.
think
Right.
that's a very apt example you gave, from a tech perspective. Completely agree with you.
Right. I mean, this was interesting. I think I have another section which is actually inside the war on digital deception. So there are some very interesting questions I would like your views on.
Sure.
What does forensic integrity actually mean in the context of digital platforms?
So if you look at digital platforms, I think, if you look at piracy, for example, let's take the example
Right.
of piracy, right?
Big
Or
problem.
even
Yeah.
piracy, companies protecting their IP rights. Every company today on the media side has IP rights.
Right.
Or companies are paying tons of money for digital advertising.
Right.
Pick up company XYZ, right? They're paying various platforms money. All that is a part of the digital ecosystem. And I
Correct.
think what companies are probably, when you say forensic integrity with respect to these digital platforms, it is to make sure that if you're paying some money, are you really getting your money's worth? Is someone
Right.
trying to break the system and cheat you out of it? So, in an example of, say, click fraud, okay, you're paying for 10,000 clicks a month for a particular issue. Is that 10,000 clicks actually happened? Or,
Correct.
if you look at the data in the way we work, but I'm sure you guys also work on a similar thing.
Right.
Probably half of those clicks are fake, right?
Right.
There's some
Absolutely.
fake sitting across the world somewhere, right? There's some lab in some country where
Right.
this is happening, or it is coming from a region or a state or a district or
Yeah.
a county. I don't know name any countries or cities, but it could be it could be just a set of people just clicking, right? You see
Yeah.
all these
Yeah.
ads time, work from home, just keep on clicking on
Correct.
every damn thing. You get paid like 5 paisa a click. If you do 5,000
Yeah.
click, you earn 250 rupees. Some
Correct.
nonsense like that. And there are poor people across the world, not only in India. They'll constantly do this for money. So that is a very simple example, right? But at the same time, if you look at a large scale piracy angle, right? A lot of piracy, global companies are trying to attack it, trying to kill
Yeah.
it. But things evolved, many years back, people would sit in the cinema theater quietly putting the phone in
Yeah.
their pocket and recording a movie.
Yeah.
And then, this whole movie sharing happened on various platforms, not to name anyone right now, but I'm sure you know what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
slowly Also, good old days, you were duplicating VHS tapes for piracy, whatever, right? Today, I think what companies are doing is preventing it, right? They're trying to nip it in the bud, right? So I think one very recent movie, they went and released a completely fake set of shots and movies, and people just downloaded it and watched it big time all over the place. But the
Oh my
real
God.
movie came in. Sorry. Yeah. This was it's a public domain thing. A complete fake set of movie was launched so that no one actually went for piracy after the real movie. Okay, and that is what prevented from the
Yeah.
movie getting pirated or leaked. Right. So in the context, forensic integrity with respect to all these could be, is the company taking all the right amount of anti-piracy measures, or are
Right.
they protecting IP? Right, companies own a lot of IP, and it need not be restricted to media company. It could be a company manufacturing a laptop. It could be a company
Yeah.
manufacturing a glass. That technology is unique to them. And today, again, look at the various OTT platform. Look at all
Yeah.
these reels, shorts, or whatever various
Right. Right.
platforms creating. It is their IP, right? It is the IP of the user plus, IP in some cases could be IP of the OTT platform. So they really need to ensure that they're taking the right steps to protect their users' information and their information. And that is what forensic integrity is about as far as digital platforms are concerned. Some of these
Right. Right.
companies are investing into it. Some are. I'm going to stop now because I can keep on talking about it, but I'm going to stop.
No, no, it's perfect. I think there's a lot of insights here. In fact, I was you also might have come across now celebrities in outside India and India trying to
Mhm.
protect their personality, their voice, their dialogues, or their entire persona, and they are getting protection by the court on that because of the advent of AI, generative AI.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think forensic integrity I think the scope would expand now to many other platforms. And as you rightly said, there are reels, there are shorts. The distribution is increasing like crazy. So, and
Yeah.
how do you protect? Where do you protect? I think companies have to, people are taking proactive measures. Companies also have to take proactive measures for this.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. In fact, there was a news article this morning only. I think we had two or three celebrities who had filed relevant courts to say, you got to protect my digital
Right, right.
presence, image, and all that. And today, news item says there are 6 or 7 additional celebrities
Mm,
who've gone ahead and filed. Right, I think they've filed in the last 1 or 2 days,
yeah,
and I think this will go honestly deep as just the way we attack anti-piracy, right? You look,
right,
scan the internet, find out wherever the fake movies are, right? Or fake,
right.
not sorry, pirated movies are,
Yeah,
or pirated OTT content is. You would go and scan the internet. But I think the challenge will remain, Deep, that where do you draw a line? Who all do
yeah,
you catch? Right.
right,
And this is the example I always give. Imagine, and I'm making this up, this is just a made up example, right? There's a celebrity called Mukul in India, right? And
right.
his images and his voice has been copied using AI by, say, American
Right.
pirated guy. And this whole thing is stored on cloud, which is
Yeah.
partly in, say,
Yeah.
Korea and partly in UK. Now,
Yeah.
by the time you get jurisdiction, by the time you get a court order, John Doe order, the websites would have moved on. People have moved on. I'm sorry, it will take you months, if not years, to get something enforced. So I think that challenge will remain. But at least just the way you have a whole copyright business, right? By saying,
Yeah.
hey, this design is mine, or trademark and copyright, at least people can start doing it, protecting it. And in fact, I think, me and you should also go and start filing for our protection of our
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, you never know. Voice cloning is so real now. What do you think? I mean, are most organizations even capable of detecting it internally, or or third party fraud without any external forensic help?
So companies at a point of time they can do this exercise, but the technology is moving so fast. It is
Right.
not funny, right? Even people like even IT companies, right? They'll find it challenging. So they
Yeah.
have to rely on the outside party. They have to rely on people like us, be able to make sure they're on top of it. I think the challenge remains if they have in-house teams, right? You hire in-house team, and then it's a very flattish thing. It'll be very effective for 3 months, maybe 4 months, but suddenly by month number 7, that team is completely not having the right technology or the knowledge to
Right.
do something or attack something. So I think reliance on third parties will continue. And probably it will go up as the technology is evolving, right? So if you look at you have this whole blockchain technology which came in, right? A lot
Right.
of people invest. A lot of people said, okay, we are going to do stuff on it, but eventually in house there was only limited skill. Of
Yeah.
course, blockchain is still restricted to all the currencies of the world today,
Right.
the online currencies of the world. I don't want to name anyone to be politically correct, but now you have this whole AI thing which has evolved in the last 1.5 years, and it is still evolving at a very rapid pace. What I learned about 30 days back is completely redundant, right? I was actually going through a whole AI course earlier
Okay.
this week. And I said, oh my God, this is also possible in AI. It was not there when
Yeah.
I did my course 2 months back.
True.
Now, but it is
True.
all. And so I think everyone will have to really learn. But coming back to your main point, yeah, I think companies will have to really depend on third parties, and companies will
Yeah.
have to invest also into it. I think companies don't have the right amount of budgets. They need to take it very seriously.
Right, right. I think specialists would be needed. Otherwise, as you said, no, the technology is moving so fast. It's not
Yeah.
possible for companies in different lines of businesses to start looking at this without any external help. I mean, I also strongly believe that. And then, what do you think that what role does corporate culture play in enabling versus mitigating fraud? I believe it should play a very important role in enabling versus mitigating fraud to being reactive. So being proactive instead of reactive. What is your opinion?
No, I completely agree with you. I think you couldn't have summarized it better in those few words. I'm going to bore you with my long speech after this. It is the tone at the top. Right?
Hmm.
The tone at the top is extremely important. Number one. A lot of times when you're doing an investigation, we are doing a review. One of the questions we ask ourselves is the company doing check in the box when it comes to detecting or
Hmm.
preventing or anything which is wrong? Or
Right.
you really need to look at substance over form. It's not about they saying, I have done these 100 things. Is it substance over form or not? There's
Right.
so many companies who will just do check in the box. Those companies are not going to go anywhere. Integrity, ethics, professionalism is not something you compromise with, right? So again, I'm going to give you the full credit on what you mentioned about how does a company do it? The company has to believe in it. The top
Yeah.
management has to believe in it. The audit committee has to believe in it. The board of directors has to believe in it, and then to push it down.
Right. Right. Right.
I'll tell you an interesting story on this one. And this is a real life case. We're doing a large investigation of a very big Indian corporate house. And when we, at the end of it, right, we said, we found a it was into many, many crores. I'm not going to give you a number
Sure.
because it's very
Sure.
sensitive. And it was probably in the public domain. But, let's assume the amount of fraud we found was 100 rupees, right? And
Okay.
we said, oh my God, we found 100 rupees. And this was many, many crores. You can imagine
Hmm.
the impact. And we went to the top management of the company and said, you know what, this is what we have found, and this is what the fraud is, and
Right.
the 100 rupee fraud is there. And they said, okay, can you show the party wise list or invoice wise list or whatever?
Hmm.
So we showed the entire list by saying, here are the 10 parties which add up to this 100 rupees. You know what? Some of the people of the leadership turned around and said, you know what? Actually, remove these 3 parties out of this, or remove these 5 parties out of the 10, because these 5 parties we actually used to generate some cash. And I
Oh my
was like,
God.
in my thinking, yeah, of course, instead of 100, now you thinking the fraud is 50, which is fine. And that 50 was also still many, many crores. And in my head, I thought, if you're sitting and generating cash, everyone else in the system would come back and say, the top
Yeah.
guys doing, it's okay for me to do it. So
Right.
that's why someone at the top, the company is taking this very seriously is very, very important. So I think that's really that one simple example is my real
Yeah.
answer to
Yeah.
your very
Right.
important to have the right to.
Right. Right. No, I think a lot of companies have it in their DNA. Some of the companies don't, but they are willing to listen if they're educated well. And some of the companies, I mean, I don't think are the right personas for this because they know the problem, but they don't want to do anything about it. I mean, we also had a very similar example a few years back when we went to a company and did a trial with them and presented them the facts that, okay, hey, your 80% traffic is bots. So, and the answer from the head, the vice president there sitting he said, we know it. And we work with agencies who can send us this traffic so that the arbitrage is good for us. So how do you sell an anti-fraud solution to companies where you say, as the word is right, tone at the top is not Correct. You can't sell them. So I think there'll be segments of customers who are unwilling. There'll be segments who are willing to learn, and there'll be some very aware customers who are like problem aware and solution aware both. In your view, I mean, what is more damaging, financial fraud through technology or IP theft?
I think both are equally damaging. But today, everything is IP driven, right? So I would probably, if I have to choose a favorite, pick one. If you give me an answer, need to say pick
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
I would
Pick one. Pick one.
pick one. I would pick up IP. See,
Okay.
because financial fraud has been there for donkeys years. It is
Right.
going to it will continue to be there, right? IP is very new.
Right.
And IP theft is relatively newer as compared to financial, right? Financial fraud. Financial fraud has been there for thousands of years. It will continue for another thousands of
Right.
years. IP is something which is very new. And the challenge, I think, which I see is a lot of companies own a lot of IP, but what they're doing is not consolidating and bringing it at one place of what IP they own. So someone has filed some IP somewhere, someone has filed some IP somewhere. People are not even registering their trademarks. People are not even bringing their saying, "Oh, this is my design," or "This is my
Right.
R&D,"
Right.
right? And again, very on the flip side of things, it's not a fun fact. But if you remember many years back, I think 7, 8 years back or something, some global company said we are going to register the trademark for the benefits of haldi, and the Indian government
Yes.
jumped
Yes.
and
Yes.
right now that's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
simple
Yeah.
thing to say. We've been using it for a few hundred years, if not thousands of years
Yeah. Yeah.
in India, but some foreign company picked it up and said we are going to trademark it or whatever, create
Correct.
an IP or something like that. Now that is the situation in a lot of Indian companies if you look at it, right?
Hmm.
Global companies are still very good at it. Indian companies are really lagging when it comes to IP, and that's why. And I think today IP is big. If you have an idea, you can convert into a few $1 billion if it's a good idea. So if you're not
Right.
protecting your IP, it may not have any value. It may not have had value 5 years back or 8 years back, but today, I think IP is very, very important. And
Right.
companies need to invest money into it, right? They need to have the right team looking into it. Today, everything, for example, I'll just give you, I don't know how much time we have, but I'll just give you another example. Today, if you pick up any product, makeup,
Right.
electricity wire, laptop, I don't know, cigarettes, tea, coffee, tire tubes,
Right. Right.
counterfeit almost everything in the market. Food products, right? Counterfeit of food products as well. Oils, coconut oils. I think the only thing which is not getting counterfeited is something which is very, very common or something, but everything else is getting counterfeited, right? It could be bad food, could be bad product, could be whatever. But if companies are not taking adequate steps to protect their IP, go after these bad apples, the problem is only going to increase. And
Yes.
hence,
Yes.
I will choose IP over financial fraud.
No, I think that's right because IP also, I think it's very subjective, but the monetary value associated to it can be very, very large. Financial fraud,
Absolutely.
I think, is more quantifiable and measurable, but this is
Mm.
crazy. And I think the turmeric example, I remember, it's a very classic example where I think, I'm not sure if that IP was granted to the foreign company, but I think there are many other things like that which we should protect or we could have protected.
No, absolutely. In fact, I would think there are, on a lighter note, I don't know how serious, if you think I'm joking on this one, but I'm not. We have everyone has these Dadi Amma ke nuske, as they
Yes,
call it in
yes,
Hindi.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And lots of those. Adrak khao to ye hoga, garlic and
Correct.
adrak mix you have X and onion and something else mix you'll have Y. We have thousands of those things. Right? I remember at least 100 such
Yeah,
desi nuskas. Now, that is a very simple way to say, okay, we got to protect IP. But companies, organizations need to, in the same way, in the same spirit, need to gather everything they've created and say, we own this. So Mukul and
yeah,
Deep, even if they want, they can't take it, right? Or anyone
right,
else in the world. They need
right.
to invest huge amount of time and resources into it. I don't think Indian companies are doing that.
I think in your next presentation to any other company, the first slide should be the turmeric example. People would instantly connect to it and understand what they're talking about. What is IP theft? I mean, no better example than this.
Yeah, probably. And it was not granted to that global company, by the way.
Okay,
I don't think anyone got IP to it or whatever registered to it, to my knowledge. If it has
okay.
changed in the last few years, I don't know. But to my knowledge, it hasn't. I just wanted to close that topic.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So, I mean, I'll come to the next one. Are the major tech platforms part of this problem? I mean, when we talk about IP or financial fraud, and how
Uh,
cooperative are they in forensic investigations when you kind of work with them, deal with them? One example you gave where at the top it was a different tone, but in general, how cooperative are these companies or tech platforms? There could be a digital platform connected to it.
Yeah.
It could be a social media platform, it could be a analytics platform, it could be any platform. So
Yeah.
if you need data from them or if you want to
Yeah.
reach out to them, how cooperative do you think they are?
So I think that the challenge there is there are two sides to the story here. The number one is to say, if I own anything, if my company, if my client owns something and it is sitting on their platform, to that extent they will come, they will share, or they will
Got it.
be open to sharing. But even they are governed by the internal policies, by the laws. They can't
Right.
share beyond that. So now suppose if I have a mobile phone and I'm using, and or I have some IP and I say, you know what, Deep has stolen that IP. Can you look at Deep's account and tell me, or can you take it down?
Right.
They will not move it down because they have the
Okay.
obligations for Deep also. It's not only with Mukul, right? So I think they are also governed by those laws. So I don't think it's that they're not cooperative. Their hands are also tied. However, I think the way you need to do this is, and the way we solve this is, if we have established from public domain or from looking at their website or looking at some e-commerce website where, say, a fake product is being sold,
Right.
or some pirated content is sitting there, then using the courts, or and using the police, we could actually approach them, and then they'll be sharing the data with the authorities, with the regulators, or with the right people, right? And that is the way to solve this problem, that you go through the right approach. So for
Got it.
example, when you go to let's take example of piracy, right? It is, I own a movie and it is sitting on some platform where it's a pirated it's a pirated copy, or it's a half of it is in one reel and half of it is in another reel, something like
Right.
that. If I go tell the platform, please take it down, they're probably not going to listen to me. But I can
Mm.
go to the court, John Doe order, and take it down, right?
Right. Right.
Same thing
Right.
with counterfeit products, right? A lot of e-commerce platforms would be selling that counterfeit product, but I can actually, through the courts and through the police, or through the right lawyer, issue the right documentation to the company by saying, take this down, and they will take it down. So I don't think they are on specifically a question on, are they cooperative? They're cooperative as long as you follow the paperwork, right?
Right.
If you
Right.
just,
Right.
I don't think anyone would be listening, and that is probably true for across the world.
Right. Right. No, and that's understandable. I mean, that's how they should operate also because they have other obligations to all their users also.
Yeah, and I think we need to be careful. And let's take the example of Deep of what we said on this entire, fake bots, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
and you can add to what I'm saying. I'm still, I'm still giving a very broad example. So, suppose we go to a client and say, hey, we've analyzed your data, right? We've looked at these 100 clicks per month, and 30 of the clicks are probably bots because all of them are coming from the same IP, right? Or the difference of the clicks is zero point zero 0.01 seconds, so it's just not
Right.
possible. What the reason is, right? Now, we as consultants, or as a subject matter experts, can go to the client and say, you know what, 70 we don't know, but at least these 30 going forward, you tell
Right.
them, tell your service provider to ignore these 30. We don't want our ads going on those
Right.
30
Right.
uh, 30% of the websites, whatever the count is, right? So then you're restricting yourself to 70. Of course, 20 more will be born by then. So in the next cycle, you can again take it down. And I think
Right.
you can actually share that example with on this podcast also. I think because that's the way we can protect ourselves.
Yeah.
Our clients can protect ourselves here.
Right. No, no, you're absolutely correct, I think. And that's what I think we also kind of push the message to our customers also that, again, I go back to the same thing that correct the input. So if you figure out that, okay, out of 100, 30 are bad, right? So we'll tell you a mechanism by which you can kind of block them at the source itself so that you don't have the problem next time onwards. And
Correct.
keep on doing it. You don't have to worry about cleaning the traffic. It will automatically start getting cleaned up. And people respond to it very positively.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's expand that example into something. Let's say a client has a spend of, I don't know, I'm making up a number, on a particular business, 50 crores on digital spend,
Right.
right? And 50 crores and 30 crores is probably being spent on these clicks, which is being
Oh,
paid
yeah.
to. Even if you can, I'm saying 30% we said are fake, or 40% are fake in our experience, right? I think you'll agree with me.
Right.
But I'm
Right.
saying, even if 10% we can take down out of the 30%,
Yeah.
10% of 30 crores is 3 crores.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
it's
Average
massive.
value of a person is probably 8, 10 lakhs today. In the industry, right? 8 to 10 lakhs, which is a saving cost of 30 people,
Oh yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
it's it's,
I
it's
think
crazy.
actually the key point for organizations to understand and then make sure
Yeah.
it gets taken care of.
Yeah, I sometimes wish that I am the voice of God and kind of I can speak from the clouds to people that, hey, this is the kind of money you are spending, and we see that 30-40% is going down the drain, and we glaringly see it so many times. And it is very appalling that some other companies don't appreciate it. They don't want to stop it. They said, okay, chalta hai, chalne. But I see that outside India, probably I see a lot of problem awareness, solution awareness, and they instantly respond to it. They don't want to waste their money. They want to recover that money. And तो वही मुझे लगता है अपना इंडिया का भी टाइम आएगा. I think one there'll be a day where, because India, I think it's what 6,800 crores is the ad spend right now happening annually. There's a lot of money. इसमें से 30% तो जा ही रहा है. And it is going to people who are maybe enjoying in the Atlantic on a yacht or a cruise. Those are the people who are taking away this money and nobody knows. It's not noticeable. So अभी बहुत कुछ है. मतलब I think it's very interesting, but I hope people will be more aware.
7,000 crores, let's say, right? And if companies are saving 10%, that's 700 crores, man. It's a
Yeah,
lot of money.
it's a lot of money. Lot of
It
money.
will be across many companies. And this will only multiply, right? In geometric
Yeah.
progression, this 7,000 crores will become 70,000
Correct.
crores in very, very
Absolutely.
fast.
Absolutely.
And this is straight away money to the bottom line of companies. So why not?
Yeah. I mean, I come to the last question I have.
Sure.
What frameworks do you believe are needed to actually prevent fraud at scale? Because I think you deal with large enterprises and stuff. So, are there any
Right.
frameworks which ENY has developed, or what do you think would be needed in the future also?
I think, see, number one is that from a framework perspective, it is eventually up to the company how strong or weak they want it to be. If you look at very large corporations, multinationals, right, they have strong frameworks.
Hmm.
Someone could go for a certifications. Today, there are many certifications, right? And these
Right. Right.
certifications are provided to you after you have cleared certain bare minimum requirements, right? I'm not
Right.
going to take many certifications. I don't want to be taking sides here. Very neutral, as I said earlier on.
Right.
They're globally recognized standards. They're globally recognized processes. But the important part here, Deep, is that they need to be really doing not checking the box, substance
Right.
over form. Where they should be investing in the right tools. They need periodic audits and reviews, right? Wherever they can. Behavioral analytics is something they can do. They can do some email reviews of what is going wrong, right?
Right.
They can establish fraud prevention platforms. But the
Correct.
biggest deterrent continues to be you need periodic reviews, and I think that is where companies miss out.
Right.
They really have a problem. They will have 100 people looking into it. Then for 10 years, they're not going to do anything.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
What I always recommend to clients is first and foremost, have one review. Maybe it'll take just 2 weeks, do a dipstick check. If there's something else, expand
Correct.
it. Right?
Correct.
That is very, very important. You can, it's like, like you do internal audit, right? Internal audit
Yeah.
is followed by the Companies Act. Okay, auditors have to comment on whether the internal audit is commensurate with the size of the company and so on and so forth, right? Companies, are they really doing it in spirit? Those who
Hmm.
are, we see the benefit. In a
Right.
similar way, companies should be investing heavily into doing proactive reviews. And if you're doing proactive reviews every year, you can pick up this is a high risk area I will do every year. This is a medium risk area every 2 years. This is a low risk area every 5 years I will cover something like that. But they need to work to a plan.
Right.
Companies don't have a plan. Most of the companies I work with, where a fraud or a forensic issues hit them, they say, now what do we do? They've not even created a DRP
Yeah.
for it.
True.
IT policy, there's a DRP. If there's a malware attack, there is a DRP. But what happens if there's a fraud? Companies
Correct.
are not looking at it. So companies who have fraud, they'll think about it for 6 months and then forget about it. Have proactive reviews. That's very important. And get your system certified to say, yes, this company is following globally recognized standard. But again, substance over form. They need to be doing it from their heart, not
Correct.
checking the box
Correct.
to show,
Correct.
companies won this certificate. No, because they believe in it. And that is what big factor here. We, of course, have tools and processes. We have many solutions which we deploy at clients, right? Be it third parties, be it fake documentation, be it conflict of interest related matters, be it technology related issues, be it now with the whole DPDP Act in India coming in place. We're
Right.
working extensively with a large number of clients where we are helping them with what is analyzing your data and identifying what is private, what is not private, right? What can be
Correct.
shared, what
Correct.
can be shared. Having policies and processes, the companies don't even have written policies in place. There are
Right.
50 circulars for the last 20 years, and everything is working on circulars, right? That's not the way to
Hmm.
do it. Look at it proactively.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, absolutely. No, no, I think it is and I believe, Ian, you make companies aware also. Some companies might need complete an overhaul, some companies might need interventions. So I think that
And
definitely.
And I just want to add one point. I just realized after you mentioned is that awareness, right?
Yeah,
Awareness is very so trainings are extremely important. Whatever the training may be, training like today when the POSH law came in, right? The
right,
prevention of sexual harassment. Everyone was training on POSH. The internal committee, everyone, the committee members got trained. But I'm saying people got to be trained on everything: anti-bribery, corruption,
correct.
code of conduct, whistleblowing policy, how to conduct yourself in public, what to post on social media, about how to minimize the risk of cybercrime, health and safety. There are thousands of topics. I don't think companies are investing enough on training. So training is also important, right? You go to, and especially those in the service sector. Of course, it's
Right,
applicable to the sector also, but service sector, your biggest asset is your people, right? That's the asset you own. So you got to really train them.
right, right, right. No, no, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I mean, this is a problem which is very close to my heart. And I think, Mukul, we have come to the end of podcast. I would, but still, I'll ask you one question. The audience of this podcast are companies, enterprises, founders, different folks, actually across the world. So, is there any with respect to forensics or fraud, is there any message you would want to give out to them which they should be aware of, or probably set the tone at the top when they are doing their businesses, or what is that is needed for them as a priority element in their own lives?
See, I think we've addressed most of the points during the podcast, really. But I think if I have to really summarize it in one line, I would say be alert, right? Don't take things for granted, right? A lot of times we take things for granted and invest because you care about that issue or about that problem. Don't just do it for as a check in the box. If you're doing check in the box, you might as well not do it. Do it because you believe in it. And I think one very important angle to this is today everything, as we said, is driven by technology. Be aware of the technology, right?
Right,
Aware of technology can do. That's very important for everyone, whether it's a junior most employee or the MD or the CEO of the company.
right,
So when I say Mukul is saying to Deep, you should be aware. I don't expect Deep to start programming and start coding. No,
right,
right? But
right.
I need to know about how things work on the technology side. And going forward, tech will be driving anything and everything. As we've seen on the sudden evolution of AI in the last 1.5
Yeah,
2 years.
yeah.
So be aware of what the pitfalls and the risks are.
With this, we come to the end of the podcast. I think
Right.
we have covered a lot of interesting topics. Thank you so much, Mukul. Thank you so much for
Thank you very
taking
much.
time out from your schedule and being with us.
No, not at all. It's a pleasure, Deep. And thanks to you and all of your team members and coordinating this for us. Thank you so much.